Good evening. This is the king of all mediums, and I'd like to welcome you to podcast number 33. And it's a beautiful day today in New York City. I took a trip to a record store, which I will detail in podcast number 34. I missed Friday's podcast. I've been having a fatigue problem, which has reasserted itself. I probably have to tell the doctor, but the numbers have been good with the doctor. So, with doctors, that they just basically are looking for your blood, and everything looks good. I've improved. I had 8.9 A1C, and that's been coming down. My sugar is excellent because I'm on a low carb diet, high fat diet, and no other issues like thyroid. They look for people with diabetes. I'm losing weight, so things are actually going pretty good. But I've had this fatigue monster that hits me, and they gave me pills for it. They gave me what is it called, modafinil, but I don't know. I just don't want to take them. I mean, maybe I should start every day. I mean, they give them to fighter pilots too. They won't give me what I really want is Ritalin, which is probably a good idea not to give them to me. But so in podcast 33, I will go over two things: the top views I have on my uploads and new finds. So let's start with new finds first. The first thing, we'll start with a book. Now, this book is called Good Reasons for Bad Feelings. Now, I originally found out about this guy, Randolph M. Nesse, a medical doctor. But I bought a book from him. It looked very interesting. I've always been to evolutionary psychology. And he wrote a book called Darwinian Medicine, and it had a lot of different things. Like, for instance, how fetuses cause problems for the mother in pregnancy because they're competing for the precious resources. Gestational diabetes is one of them. So there's a lot of very interesting sections. And one of the things he actually touched on was Darwinian psychiatry, and things like anxiety and depression and other mental disorders can have evolutionary bases. So this book goes more into the evolutionary thing, the evolutionary parts of it. And they discovered this by a little serendipity. I thought he was such a good writer. I put his name in, and it came up, and I don't know how much I got this for. I think he's big in England, actually, but he's from the United States, actually. It's kind of weird. He has, this is a paperback, and interestingly enough, this is a book is from England, and it was printed in 2019 and printed about in Great Britain. So that's why I didn't know about it. It really wasn't, talked about much in the United States. But luckily I looked them up and I got it, and it's a paperback. I prefer a hardcover, because paperbacks get little dings and but it's very excited to read this. I still have only on chapter 3 of my Gary Taubes book, The Case for Keto, but I just don't find the time to read these things. Because I'm so excited to read them, and then I'm worried if I find something else. So very excited to read this. Okay, then we go to a CD, compact disc. This is Creedence Clearwater Revival's self-titled debut. Now, they were around a long time. They were known as the Golliwogs, and so Saul Zaentz, their producer, did not like the name, so they came up, I don't know the whole story, but they came up with the name Creedence, and they came up with the three names. I don't know how they came Creedence Clearwater and Revival, and this is their debut album. They actually took some of their songs from the Golliwogs, and so at the first listening, I didn't think it was that great, but at the second listening, I kind of liked it more. Their strong numbers are actually covers, the three of them. So the first number is I Put a Spell on You, which is a Screaming Jay Hawkins number. The Working Man is their second number. That's one of their original by them. It's okay, nothing great. Susie Q, which is Dale Hawkins, another Hawkins, so they like Hawkins, I guess. And that number closes out side one, a long 836 number. Now we go to side two. And by the way, very short album. I mean, I got it on compact disc, but it was only like 33 minutes. I always take that into account when I rate an album. So like for instance, Grand Funk's debut On Time was on time with almost 50 minutes of music. I mean, an incredible amount of music. And the critics hated it, of course. Now, the first track of side two is 99 and a Half Will Do. It's a very good song, but it was actually written, it was a Wilson Pickett song. And I think Steve Cropper, Eddie Floyd, and Wilson Pickett wrote that. Now the last song, four songs are original. Get Down Woman, which is okay. Now I was impressed with song number 6, Porterville. That was a pretty good song. And Gloomy and Walking Down Water on the second listen I like. So this is a pretty good album actually. And you should go take a listen. Creedence Clearwater Revival's self-titled debut. Okay? Now, two albums. One album I played today. Okay. And this is Mountain Climbing. Alright? Mountain Climbing. I'm going to have to take it out because I have to take the record out actually. Let me take the record out. Okay. Mountain Climbing. Mountain's technically their debut album, although Leslie West's solo album Mountain, and it's called Mountain because he was a big man, very big man, well over 300 pounds, and could have lived to his death. And I wouldn't say an early death, he was 75 years old, but he lost a leg because of diabetes and always had weight issues. It's a very beautiful portrait on the first. And again, if you have you only get iTunes in your kid or something, and you actually find this album, you miss out on really nice stuff like this, beautiful painting. You go to the back, you'll see there's a nice picture of Felix Paparotti, and then both these guys, Felix Paparotti's from the Bronx, right? He was originally from, and Leslie West was from Forest Hills, where I do live now, so kind of know both of them in a way. Well, in fact, my best friend lives in the Throgs Neck. And if you don't know the story, of course, Felix Paparotti, a very talented musician, although I think drugs got the better of him, died at the young age of about, I think it was 43 or 44, by his wife, his songwriting partner, shooting him, Gail Collins. So not a happy story for and a very talented guy, and really disappeared in like the early 70s, and it was kind of weird. I think he lived with a lot of drug problems, I think, and I think he had a lot of affairs, and I think his wife accepted it. And this is what I'm kind of taking from. I could be wrong, of course. This is just what I'm thinking. And I think one day his wife just took a gun and just shot him. All right, so what does this begin with? Now, of course, the famous song, clocking in at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mississippi Queen, you know what I mean, okay? And it's funny, Jimi Hendrix was recording in the same studio, and he heard the lick down the hall, and he was very upset. He said, how come I didn't come up with that lick? Okay, and theme for Imaginary Western, clocking in at 5:10, which was written by Jack Bruce and Pete Brown. Jack Bruce, of course, of Cream, and his songwriting partner, Pete Brown, of course, with the famous White Room. It was another great song, and what a great song that is. I mean, it's amazing. Cream didn't record, I guess, after Cream broke up, but it is on Jack Bruce's first solo album, but they made it famous. And the amazing thing is Leslie West's grinding. It's just a weird guitar sound. It gets you got to listen to it. It's amazing sound. Never in My Life. It's a good track. And Silver Paper is another very good track. It's funny. I was thinking about why I never heard this album before. See, when I was growing up, all the Mountain albums were out of print, and you didn't have a eBay to get them through. And I don't think I knew about I guess they had used record shops back then. So I was growing up in the early 80s, I guess. So the only album they had was Best of Mountain, and it didn't have that great of tracks on it. Animal Trainer and the Toad. So it took from like the first 3 or 4 albums, and they weren't the great. I mean, they had Mississippi Queen, of course, but they didn't have all of the best tracks on them. So this Silver Paper song is a very, very good track. And it should have been on this is an almost a great. It says this is such a. I mean, now rating I'll probably give you. I mean, for Yasgar's Farm begins side 2 at 3:20. I was gonna upload this song for Yasgar's Farm. It was played at Woodstock. It's untitled then, but they eventually named it for Master Yasgar. Great song. Look at me, I believe in you. You're a part of me. I'm a part of you. Great song. And then To My Friend, which is a Leslie West showing off he can even play acoustic guitar. The Laird is a little more Leslie West doing acoustic guitar, and it's also, it's more of a track, a song, but it's a lot of Leslie West. Sitting on a Rainbow, it could be the weakest track on the album. It's okay though. Now the Boys in the Band. Now that was a song I ignored. That was one of the greatest hits. What a great song that is. I mean, okay. So this album, I'm very tempted to give a 5 stars. I mean, unfortunately, a very strong 4 star. Get this, listen to this, and the album is so impressive. Look at the painting. I mean, it's just a great, great album, and I strongly recommend this album. Okay. The last album. Okay. Now, this is Steppenwolf's 3rd album. I'm a big Steppenwolf fan. It's kind of interesting. A couple of interesting things. Has a gatefold. It opens up to more. Okay, at your birthday party. There's some kind of birthday party. Interesting. This guy over here is the actual producer, Gabriel Meckler. Michael Monarch, who guitarist at that time, and Steppenwolf went on tons of lineup changes. One thing I always wondered is these groups could not keep it together in terms of, they couldn't, in terms of, keeping their lineups. I mean, it's amazing that Power Struggle came out on My Song played. It's amazing. I can't think of like one group that ever consistently stayed the same. Maybe the Beatles or the Rolling Stones were pretty consistent, but Brian Jones, died. I mean, they had a pretty consistent thing until Bill Wyman retired. They got Darryl Jones on bass, and so. But most groups, and they had their lineups kept on shifting. The only constant was John Kay, the singer, rhythm guitarist, who when he does a song, for some reason it's good. And Michael Monarch done a few songs on this now. So that 3rd release is kind of weak, to tell you the truth. I'm a big Steppenwolf fan, but I was listening to this, and by the way, so this Gabe Meckler, he's supposed to be Michael Monarch, and he looked a little like him, so it confused people. They didn't know. Now this release is weak, and let me go through the songs. Side 1, okay. These songs, I don't even know these songs. This is so unmemorable. Don't Cry, Chicken Wolf, Round and Down. Now the song, next song is pretty good. It's called It's Never Too Late. Okay, it's a very good song actually. I'm always getting this. I have their 16 greatest hits on cassette, and I was saying to myself, and look for a gem here on some of their albums, because every once in a while you find a gem, but there was no gems on this album. Sleeping, Dreaming. Okay, side 2 opens up with a very excellent song, Jupiter's Child. She'll Be Better, Cat Killer Week, Rock Me. Now, Rock Me is a great song, probably their 3rd best song after Born to Be Wild and Magic Carpet Ride. God-Fearing Man, Mango Juice, Bad Week, Happy Birthday's okay, but this album's very weak. I give it 2.5 stars. Very disappointing stuff. Okay, so that takes care of our finds. Now let's go to our top reviews. Now there's a shakeup. Now let me explain. Something happened. I put up a track from Grand Funk Railroad, which was the Saturday vinyl last Saturday, March, I believe, 20th, and it went crazy. Now, I just had a sneaky suspicion someone has been playing with my views, and that person is my brother, who's a programmer. Now, again, I don't know if he has been, because all of a sudden, I mean, granted, this song is a good song. Let's face it, but it's no something. You know, it's a really good song. I mean, you should take a listen to it. But how the hell does it have 185 views? You know, and I got a little suspicious too when Flying got a lot of hits too. I mean, views. So my theory is my brother, who's a computer programmer and a Twitter aficionado, what he did was he wrote a routine which automatically randomly hits views every once in a while, so it was boosting up my hits. So I eventually blocked him, but so I don't know for sure. I questioned him on it, and he did not say that he did or didn't. So, so we have a new champion. Anybody's answer has 185 views. I mean, again, good song you should listen to. It's off the Grand Funk debut album. The Grand Funk debut album is called On Time. You know, so I put it up last Saturday. It's a great album. You know, every song on that album is good. I mean, and to me, it's that's a 5-star album. I maybe 4-star because the goodness of the songs, even though there's no great songs on it, I give it maybe a 4-star. Okay, but it's definitely in the critics are nuts. Something by the Beatles is second. And by the way, everything's vinyl in the top 5. Something is second at only 153, so it has a 32 view lead. You know, can anything ever come close to this now? And again, I don't know. Is it? You know, I don't know. My thought was take everything down and so reposting it like a massive repost, but it's going to be too. You know, I don't have the room on my eye. It's just too much of a pain in the butt. You know, can't do that. You know. So 153 for Something. Flying is next by the Beatles. Well, Magical Mystery Tour 144. That's when my suspicion got up. Now, Flying's a good song, but is it that good? Now, coming in at number 4 is I Should Have Known Better by the Beatles off the Hey Jude album. And that is at 102. And rounding out is more Beatles. George Harrison, but not a Beatle, but a Beatle, former Beatle, off the, I forget which album that is. He's the one that, what's the guy, Jeff Lynne produced, Cloud 9, I think it is. And that is Vinyl 100, something else. Very good song, by the way. I love that song. Loneliness, Empty Faces. That's a great song. I love that song. You know, sometimes, again, the gem, you don't know. You know, that's a gem that I discovered. I had that album. One of the few things that wasn't thrown out in when I lost all my possessions. Okay. Now, so what are some things close but not quite there? Ballad of John and Yoko by the Beatles, trailing at 93. And the Walk of Life, Dire Straits CD 90. I couldn't fit it in. There's also another Grand Funk song, and that's how I know it's so suspicious. So I thought people might have been thinking it's the Walls Come Tumbling Down. I don't know who does that. Someone probably knows it. And that is Walls Come Tumbling Down. I Come Tumbling by I Come Tumbling by Grand Funk, which is a really good song, by the way, so take a listen to it. And that has 88 views, so that the top 8 there are also coming up strong with 76, and probably just recently put as You Never Give Me Your Money by the Beatles. So it seems people like Beatles songs. So, okay, so we're almost done with this podcast. Now, shortly I'm gonna give you the second podcast of the evening, so I could catch up. This is podcast number 33, and it's March 27th, I do believe, 2001. And this is a King of All Mediums, so I hope you have a wonderful rest of this day. It's still light here in New York City, and a great evening.